Hey everybody, this is Davis with Con Freaks and Geeks, and I would like to welcome you to another episode of Pop Culture Gems. This is a series where we talk to amazing creators, artists, cosplayers, voice actors, and so much more. If you like the interviews we do with these amazing guests, give us a thumbs up or subscribe to our YouTube channel, the CFG channel, or you can listen to it on any podcast services that are currently out there. If you want to check out all the fantastic geeky content in one area, you can always check out our main website, confreaksandgeeks.com, for the whole package. We as a country is coming back to a sense of normalcy finally after being stuck in our homes for a year. People are going back to the office, no more slackless Zoom calls, but the most important thing is con season is coming back. So that's why I am excited to talk to my next guest who runs an incredible convention that is coming in December called LA Comicon. It's been around for almost a decade. Who better to explain the hype of a comic convention than the CEO and director of a con itself? I would like to welcome Chris DeMoulin to the show. How are you doing, sir?
I am terrific, Davies. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, let's just get a good explanation. Like, what is LA Comic Con?
What is LA Comic Con? Well, LA Comic Con started life in 2011 as a little show called Kamikaze Expo. And it was, I love the story about it because it was started by two brothers and a sister who were so frustrated that they hadn't gotten into a larger convention you may have heard of that happens in San Diego every year for a couple of years in a row. And they just said, we're going to start our own convention. And so the idea has always been sort of, it's very much a by fans, for fans convention that reflects the unique sort of pop culture mashup that is Los Angeles. And so we try to represent the entire spectrum of fun, geeky, nerdy, pop culture, science fiction, music things going on in LA and bring it all together once a year for 3 days and invite everybody to come enjoy it.
I did not know that story. So essentially, one could say that con was the LA Comic Con was made in spite for not coming to San Diego.
You know, I love all conventions. San Diego is a terrific convention, but you know, it is true that sometimes you're frustrated, you can't get tickets, you can't get in. And so what I loved was the ingenuity of the founders who just said, if we can't get into that one, we'll make one of our own. And frankly, they did an amazing thing because in 2011 at a first-time convention, they got both Stan Lee and Elvira, the Mistress of the Dark, to agree to come and be guests. Stan eventually ended up becoming one of our business partners. We licensed his name. It was Stan Lee's Kamikaze and Stan Lee's LA Comic Con for a while. So they did a great thing. And they started, you know, LA should have its own convention. We deserve to have a hometown con. And so, you know, we're excited that they did that. And last year would have been our 10th anniversary. So I'm not quite sure if this is our 10th anniversary or our 11th anniversary, but I sort of think of it as like Spinal Tap. You know, we're one more. We're going to go to 11.
That's a good way. That's a good way of describing that. That's awesome. Yeah, I was actually thinking about it the other day. I was like, yeah, it's surprising that LA Comic Con is really the only comic convention that is like the big event that's in LA. And you would think since the size of LA is ginormous, you would think that this would have been something that would have been that would have happened a long time ago. But I'm really glad that y'all are there.
Yeah, I think others started conventions. You know, there were other companies that came from out of town and tried to start conventions. I think one of the reasons why we've been successful is that we're all Angelinos and we're all fans, and so it really is a fan first convention. And you know, by fans, for fans, and what would Angelinos want to see there are the two things that sort of guide everything we do in terms of the guests we bring in and how we set the layout and all the rest of it. And I think being a fan-based, LA-based convention has allowed us to be successful. And the fans have been, you know, amazing. They've embraced us and more of them come every year, which is exciting.
Perfect. That's awesome. And I mean, like you're saying, everyone's a fan. I know you're definitely a fan of what you do. I mean, you wouldn't be doing it still after 10 years of doing it. But like, what is your personal fandom? Like, what would you consider? Are you more into the comic side, anime, sci-fi? Like, what would you say?
I mean, personally, it's sort of different parts of my life, different things, right? As a kid, I was a huge comic collector. I was a Marvel collector. I was specifically an Avengers collector. And, you know, I've told this story that when I was in college, I ran out of money. I couldn't pay my tuition. And at the time, I owned a complete set of every Avengers comic that had ever been released, including annuals and giant size and special editions. and I sold it to make enough money to pay tuition, and it's killed me. But then fast forward 40 years of my life, and I'm working with Stan Lee in a professional capacity at LA Comicon. So it led to something good. I'm a big fantasy fan as well. I was big Lord of the Rings. I was really fortunate. Part of my life, I worked in the movie business. I worked on creating the Narnia movies about 15 years ago, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, which was amazing. I'm also a sci-fi guy. I was opening weekend at Star Wars in 1977. So I'm kind of a nerd through and through. I appreciate a lot of different things.
That is awesome. It's really good when you're an aged nerd. That's what comes into.
Well, David, and it's funny you say that because I have kids now and they're in their 20s, but when they were little, I discovered all these new things. Like I'm a huge SpongeBob fan because I spent years, with my kids on either side of me on the couch watching those fantastic Nickelodeon cartoons. I just think I love pop culture, and at different stages of my life, I've been exposed to and learned to appreciate so many different things. And I think it's been a gift for all of us, the way, Marvel has kind of opened up nerddom to the masses over the last 10 years. And now you can say you're a nerd and be proud and loud about it.
Very much so. Definitely agree with that. I was taking a look on your on the website, which, by the way, folks, if you ever want to check out, go to their website. It's lacomicon.com, right? Or it's
comiconla.com.
Sorry about that. Yeah, comiconla.com. And they already have like a list of guests that are currently out there. And we're only in June doing the podcast for this episode, and it's already shaping up to be as big as ever with the guests that will be attending, and it's only going to grow. I mean, there's going to be more and more announcements
Very
here
exciting.
in the future. Right. And how do you, I was kind of wondering, like, how do you determine the guests that you are bringing out to the show?
Sure. Well, every year we do, we have a big following on social media. We probably have 250,000 people that we interact with all the time on our social media. And we also have a big database of emails. So we regularly poll the fans and we say, who are your favorites in these different genres? Who would you like to see? And we're really driven by that. I mean, in 2019, a couple of the things that popped up were people loved The Office. People loved SpongeBob. So we went out and we got a bunch of the cast from The Office. We got some of the voice cast from SpongeBob to come to the show for the first time. So we do that. And we also like to have sort of classic nostalgia guests. And then we like to have people from things that are brand new and fresh. And having a guest like Giancarlo Esposito, who's right now in both, Mandalorian and The Boys, which are two very cool, very different things that are out there in our world. It feels very current to us. So we try to have a whole mix, but a lot of it is from surveying the fans and ask who they'd like to meet and who they'd like to see.
Oh, okay. That's cool. Makes sense. And what sets LA Comic Con apart from other events and other cons out there?
I think there's a couple of things. I think being fan driven, and being in LA. So being in LA is such an eclectic town, right? For pop culture and for entertainment. And so we have a very eclectic mix of guests. And one of the things I like to say is that no matter what you're a fan of, I think if you come to LA Comic Con, you'll find something that fits your fandom. And I think that, for me, that process of walking down an aisle and you turn a corner and you run into something that's just, it's either from your childhood or it's, turn my phone off, and or it's just you see something you've never done before. So I think that range, that eclecticism is very LA. And I also think, like one of the things we do is we put our main stage right in the middle of the main hall. I don't like that thing where the main stage is someplace else and you have to leave the building, you have to leave the show, you have to go, wait in line for hours for something else. It's right there. And so I think what that does as a fan, it makes your whole day's experience better. You're shopping, you're waiting in line for an autograph, then you hear there's something on the main stage, you can walk right over and see that, go right back to what you were doing. I think that accessibility is very much of an LA thing, and the layout of our convention center really helps us do that, to have everything in close proximity.
So, yeah, I was actually wondering about that because I remember, I don't know what year it was, but I did go to LA Comic Con. I believe it was the year after it was officially changed to LA Comic Con. Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, this is actually, this was a surprisingly good, this is a good idea, because I never really thought that they would have the main stage to be like, the second you get into the LA Convention Center, it's like right there in your face,
Right.
in the main foray.
I mean,
So
before I worked in the trade show industry for a long time, and I think that sense when you're a fan or you walk into a show and there's this huge red carpet that takes you up to the stage, and that's where all the marquee stuff's going to be. But then you look around and you can see the signs, and you can just easily navigate and figure out, oh, the horror stuff's over there, the comics are over here, the collectibles are over here. It puts the power in the hands of the fan to figure out where they want to go and how they want to shop through their day. And I think that the way you lay out a show so that it's super easy to shop and get around, I think is very important.
I think like the way, yeah, I'm kind of wondering about like how traffic flow would be with that, with something like that. Because I mean, you say the main stage is there, and you have I mean, some of your people like Zachary Levi or I mean, Frank Miller and stuff like that coming up in the front like that, and just to still have steady traffic. Because one of the most annoying things that I've experienced, especially at LA Convention Center, and I'm not going to name any conventions, but like is how they funnel you up because you remember there's like the two escalators that are that goes up to the exhibitor hall, how they funnel you to just those two escalators, and then you just see a sea of people filtering out just trying to get in. And it's like, man, I really wish there was a better way, but y'all did an excellent job on that.
Well, thank you. I mean, I think one of the challenges of any convention when you have on a Saturday, last year in 2019 on Saturday we had over 60,000 people in the building. So you have to think through that. You have to have enough entrances. And frankly, we didn't have enough entrances in 2019. People had to wait in line for an hour and a half sometimes to get in, which is totally unacceptable. And so, we've tripled the number of entrances in 2021 because we want the fans to come and they should immediately be able to get right into the middle of the experience. And so, I think on that entrance, you have to do that. Use the escalators, use the stairs, let people come up and enter from both of the back entrances so that people can get on the floor, because that's where the experience happens. And, we gotta make it as easy as possible to get into that.
Right. Most definitely. And I really appreciate it because, yeah, you don't want people to be staying in lines for long periods of time at the event for 3 days. Did I ask? Oh, yeah, I did. Cons are coming back from an unconventional year due to the obvious reasons that we're experiencing. What steps are being made for con goers to feel safe attending LA Comicon in like mass crowds in the end of this year?
Sure. I mean, some specifics we know and some things they'll develop. We developed last year because we were trying to have a convention in December last year. And so we were working really closely with the LA Department of Public Health on all of those sorts of guidelines. And that will carry forward into this year. But some of the things that we decided, so we're doubling the space. In the past, we've only been in the South Hall. We're not taking the West Hall. We're going to be across the entire convention center. So we'll be spread out over 1.2 million square feet of space. So whatever the density guidelines are, that will help. And then I think at that point in time, probably September, October, we'll be working with them to figure out, are we still doing temperature checks? Are we still doing masks? We've tripled the amount of cleaning that's going on to make sure that every couple of hours we're cleaning things. So we will be, whatever the sort of CDC and LA Department of Public Health guidelines are, we'll be at that or a little bit more. We just don't know exactly what the specifics are, and we won't know till we get a little bit closer. But, we're prepared to do whatever it takes to make as many people who physically come feel comfortable that it's a safe environment. And I think the other answer to your question is about digital. It's like we're going to have the main stage, the top 4 panel rooms are all going to be live streamed throughout the weekend. So for people that don't yet feel comfortable being in a large crowd, we're going to make it much easier for them to get digital access to the content. We had what we call our MicroCon in April, where we tested some of this stuff with digital panels, digital guests, digital meet and greets, digital signatures. So we're working all that stuff out so that the show in December will have all of those components live, but all of those components will also be duplicated electronically, up to and including we created an online mall called the Superfan Mall. We worked with a video game company to create a navigable mall where you can walk through and find the stores. And we're trying to get all the vendors so that they'll be in the digital mall as well. So I think all conventions have to do that. I think you have to have the safest possible live experience, and then you have to offer all of the experiences that you have in a digital component as well for the people that don't yet feel safe coming out.
That's like, I didn't even really think about still doing digital towards that, towards this event. Is the like with the digital on the digital side, is this something that you'd see as a short term, something that's going to be because of what we're experiencing, or is this something that you could see that will be now, a common, like, accommodation that you'll see in the future, for
Right.
future
I mean, for
events?
me personally, for us, I think it should become the norm, right? I think, not all people want to be at a convention all day long, but there might be something in the morning you really want to see. Well, so if you buy a ticket in the afternoon, you should be able to go online, watch the thing you wanted to see in the morning live on your computer from home, and then come in and experience it in the afternoon. I think the other thing we've learned through all of this digital Zoom stuff is no matter where you are, you can still participate in things. And so I would love to see more fans from all over the country being able to participate in LA Comicon digitally. Most conventions are fairly local in their nature and of the people who come, but there's no reason why fans all over the world can't tune in and digitally watch what's going on, or have a personal meet and greet with some talent that they really love. So I just think the whole seamless integration of live and hybrid, or live and digital hybrid, is really where everybody should go, and let the fans decide how they want to consume the experience.
Yeah, like you were saying, though, I think like you were saying earlier, like the reach, it's going to increase your reach by quite dramatically than making it just a local event. So I definitely would agree on that, man. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Hey, if
All right.
60 million people can watch the Super Bowl, how fun would it be to have 100,000 fans watching what's going on at LA Comic Con from home, and being able to participate in the same thing that you're participating in if you're standing on the floor?
That is very, very true. Very true. All right. And and being the director of a fast growing convention, because I'm assuming, LA Comic Con seems like it's growing every year. Every time
We've been very fortunate. Yeah.
Yeah. What is one of the most like difficult tasks to overcome running this event?
There's a couple of things. I think you have to be really diligent about thinking through the implications of how many people are going to be there. So, in 2019, our total attendance was about 123,000 people. And you really need to break that down and think about how many entrances, how many people can get through the entrance in a minute. If you want people to wait in line not more than 20 minutes, how do you do that? So it's a lot of that sort of logistic stuff on the one hand. And on the other hand, you want it to be a magical experience. So you're trying to figure out who are the talent that people are going to go, wow, oh my goodness, I never thought I'd get a chance to see that person. I want to come do that. How do we bring them together? How do we create an experience on the floor so that, I want to make sure that over 95% of the people who come, when they leave, go, that was amazing. Not only am I going to come back next year, I'm going to tell my friends about this. And so it takes a year's worth of planning. And, you go into this, we get the convention center 2 days before we open. It's just a big empty box. The whole thing has to get set up in 48 hours. We then welcome 120,000 people over the course of 3 days. They leave, and 36 hours later, it's an empty box again. But it takes a year's worth of planning to make that go smoothly. And, and that's part of the fun of it. It's a little magical. Fortunately, there's this thing in the trade show business. They're called trade show elves. That they seem to come in the middle of the night and somehow help you, so that no matter how crazy things are 12 hours before you open, you're always ready to open on time.
That is a miracle. Definitely. So, I'm assuming like crunch time, especially organization and also outside sources like, vendors and stuff coming in, just like it has to be like a well-oiled machine to get all that going correctly.
Absolutely. So, and we have an amazing staff. We're a small team. Our whole team is only 8 or 9 people. But by the time we're getting ready to set the show up, we have probably 300 helping us. We have general contractors. We have registration vendors. We have all these people that come together, and it becomes like a giant symphony orchestra. And you're standing up front there conducting, and my team is just, they're amazing. They have years and years of experience of doing this, and they're all themselves huge fans, and so they just love the process of bringing it to life.
Wow, yeah, that's great. And also, like, as a director in the same position, like, how hard is it to balance the amount of events to provide representation of all the different type of geeky fandoms? Because there's a lot. There's Whovians, sure. Star Wars, Star Trek. All that you're trying to put all in one event in 3 days. Like, how is that possible for you?
this is probably not really possible, but I think how we try to do it is we in addition to the main stage. So if you think we have a main stage that's open for, I don't know, 28 or 30 hours, and most of those presentations are half an hour. So we'll get 50 things up on the main stage. But we have all these panel rooms all over the convention center where we'll do another 200 to 300 panels there. And so we solicit the fans a few months before the show to pitch us ideas for panels, to come in and do things. And in that process, we really try very hard to make sure that we get as broad a representation of the different genres. When we're looking at exhibitors to come on the floor, we always want to make sure we have some anime, we have some horror, we have a lot of comics, we have toys, we have collectibles, we have, all of the different, elements, fantasy and sci-fi, et cetera. And gaming has become a huge part of it. And I'd like to see, I think we'll do a lot more with gaming going forward, even getting into some, esports stuff. So I think you just have to keep your finger on the pulse of what's going on in pop culture, and then make room for it, right? Invite people to come, invite somebody who knows about it to come and do a panel, and teach other people about it, or come and do an exhibition of some sort. I'm sure we missed some stuff, but I think also we, try to make sure that we, across the whole LGBTQ spectrum, make sure that that's fully represented, that, everybody who has a story to tell has equal access to come and get on one of our stages and get a spotlight and tell their story. So, we're pretty conscious about trying to make sure that happens.
Okay, cool. I just thought about this, just in the top of my head, though. I mean, you've been, like I said, you've been doing this for 10 years now, right? Is there any moments that you would say that that kind of sticks into you during that time, a memorable moment that you would say that you would like to share, that you would share?
There were a couple of things, I think, and they both involve Stan Lee, because as I said earlier, I was a huge Stan Lee fan. 2012 or 13, Todd McFarlane came to the show, and Todd and Stan were on the stage together, and that's all it was. It was just Todd and Stan. They were going to talk to each other for half an hour, and within a couple of minutes, the word went out among the convention that they were there, and the 12,000 people came, and it was ring after ring after ring of people just stood there rapt, listening to them talk and interview each other. And, we always designed that stage to have room for about 3,000 people right in front of it, but then that there's plenty of room that more people can come and stand and watch. But to be behind Stan and Todd on the stage and look out and see 12,000 faces watching them was amazing. Wow. And the other one was a couple of years ago, Stan was going to come to the show, but he wasn't well and he couldn't come. And Kevin Smith, who's been to the show many times, we asked him if he recorded a video, and we basically got the crowd to come to the stage and say, "We love you, Stan, Excelsior. We hope to see you soon." And he did it 3 times, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And we had 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people each time. And we edited that together, and we're able to get it to Stan. And just as a way of saying how much we loved and appreciated him. And, he passed away not long after that. And for me, watching those fans do that, they totally got it. And knowing how those lives that he had affected so deeply, and that we were able to sort of create a way for them to say thank you to him, was just super meaningful. And I think for me, that's what I love about the show, is it is all about fandom, and fandom is all about what you love and what you value, and community. People who value the same thing coming together and sharing that love with each other. And to me, that's what comic conventions are. I mean, we're a way for the community to come together and celebrate the joy of what they love together. And so that's why we do what we do.
Yeah, that's really good. I mean, Stan, it's always nice to hear a good Stan Lee story, though. So
there are so many, and he himself was such a great storyteller.
That dude was he was so fast on his fast on the quip, man. It was really crazy, because I mean, a long time ago I got a chance to interview him, and I was surprised, and I was already intimidated as it was, but and I was kind of worried, but no, but he was so fast on simple, the kind of sassiness, but at the same time, it's he's just that playfulness. That's one thing I will definitely miss about him. He was amazing, and so warm and so genuine and so caring.
I think the first time I met him, the company I worked for at the time had just acquired half of Stan Lee's Kamikaze, and he came in sort of like, "Who are you?" And why should you be allowed to work on my show? And when the meeting was said and done, he sort of patted me on the hand. He says, "You'll be okay."
It's really it's so cool. It was a good honor, man. It's so great.
Amazing.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not fair for me to ask like what is your favorite event during the convention due to the vast amount of like different kinds of shows and stuff that LA Comic-Con provides.
My favorite events are the ones that go off without a hitch.
It's like the ones that you'll have to put in your focus during the events. Those are your favorite events.
Right.
Yeah, I bet.
I will. I will say, like at the show in 2019, I did. My daughter came to the show, and we stood sort of in the wings backstage when Tom Kenny and Bill Fagerbakke were on talking about SpongeBob, and she said hello to him as he went off, and like those kind of things where I think. I love entertainment that's become generational, where maybe you enjoyed it as a kid, and now you get to share that with your kids. And this was something I shared with my kids when they were 4 or 5, and then here she is at 22, coming back. And that, to me, that's the wonderful thing about entertainment like that, is that it brings us together and it bridges those generations and just reminds us of those simple times where somebody told a story and we were amazed by it.
Right. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, that's true. That's great. And excuse me. And oh wow, I didn't even finish the question here. But this year's event was going to be held in the beginning of December itself.
Yep.
I mean, this is like about 2 months what it normally is around for Kamikaze usually itself. Yep. I mean, I don't know what to expect on how late this convention is going to be until late in the year though. I'm just wondering was there a reason why it was pushed forward this badly, or was it
no, Dave, that's a great question. Imagine during 2020, right? No events happened. And so there are hundreds and hundreds of events that didn't happen. And then we get into 2021 and it's pretty clear that between September and December, we're going to be able to have some events. So there's hundreds of events trying to get 60 slots in convention centers to have their events. And so we were really happy that we were able to work with the LA Convention Center. They're an amazing partner, and secure a date that was late enough in 2021 that we felt like, vaccinations and everything else will be well into the place where people will feel comfortable coming out to an event. We also really didn't want to interfere with any of the holidays because we just felt people have been, cooped up so long. And in 2021 at the holidays, if they can travel again, they're going to want to go see their families on the holidays. So we wanted to be later in the year and we wanted to stay away from the holidays. And so when this first weekend in December came up, we just jumped on it. And I don't know that we'll stay there next year. We're still working on where we're going to be next year. As you said, historically, we were always right around Halloween, from mid-October to early November. That's a great place to be. I think the fans will tell us, if they come out to this date and they like this date. But I think, I think anywhere between the middle of October and the first week of December, so that you're in the fourth quarter. It's pre-holiday, so you can buy gifts for all your nerd friends. I always think of our show as Nerd Black Friday, right? You can come and you can find all the things you want to, gifts you want to buy for your nerd friends. I think the date will be good. And, but I think, I think you saw a lot of people scrambling for dates at the end of the year. And I think most people will, if you look at 2022, most of us will probably go to whatever our kind of traditional dates were.
Yeah, I'm hoping so because I've already gotten the list of stuff that's going to be happening on the back end of this year and the beginning of January and February. And I am surprised how heavy most events have been pushed over because of the pandemic. Right. That it's right there, and it's so it's going to be and then when I believe there was an article saying that San Diego was wanting to do a live event the weekend, basically Black Friday weekend, and I was like, that is insane to even do.
Davies, I'm going to be very politic, and I'm not going to comment on that.
I'm not trying to. Yeah, we won't go into there, but still, Also, let's go into now. Like I said, you've been here for a bit. Is there a dream guest that you still haven't gotten or acquired yet for this event yet, or someone
Ah,
out there?
yeah, I'll say in a larger sense, my real dream is that we're in LA and we're all about LA, and so many of the great big content creators are in LA, and I would love if whether it's a Marvel or a Netflix or Warner Brothers sort of just embraced the idea that we're the hometown con and we're going to have 125,000 fans here, and they come and do whatever they want, right? I mean, it's all about what the fans want to interact with, and we've got over 1 million square feet of space. So I would love to see one or more of the big local content folks really embrace us and say, hey, we want to do 5 or 6 things with you. Instead of us going and pitching them, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? That just look at us as being a resource, right? We're a resource for all of the content creators in LA, that they know that we're going to bring together, 125,000 plus dedicated super fans, and anything that they want to share with them, they can come talk to us and we'll find a way to do it for them.
Hmm.
So that's on a big level. I think on a little level, every year we get more. I mean, one of the people we worked with on our Microcon in April was Sideshow, the amazing collectible company. And, they're here in LA. They typically do San Diego and New York. They partnered with us to be the sponsor of that Microcon. I love the fact that we can partner with somebody like that locally and create an opportunity for the fans to see their stuff. So I think it's just, you'll see more and more of that. And I got to say, on the flip side, one of my favorite things about our show is that we have 300 artists or so. And you may not know that artist's name, but you probably know their work. And I think part of the fun of coming to our shows, we have a larger artist alley than most shows. And the joy of discovery, of finding new artists and finding new things, for me is a big part of why I enjoy going to conventions. And so, some of the guests that I really want to come are ones I haven't even met yet. But I want the person who's doing the most interesting, cutting edge thing to reach out and even with struggling artists, we'll give a lot of those tables away for free. We work through the comic book stores to figure out who are the artists that they know, because we just want the fans to have access to them. I try not to. I think all of the talent at some level is equal, because at the end of the day, it's not important what I think. It's important that all that talent that comes, there's somebody in the audience that loves them, and they're going to make that connection. And so I want to, I just want space for all of them.
That's fair enough. I didn't even really think about it the way that you were thinking about it. I mean, in large scale, scale of because you're literally the back door of the movie the movie industry there, and I didn't even think that they would. Not, I mean, yeah, that'd be like a perfect partnership, right? Marvel and DC. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Well, and if any of you are listening, give me a call, because I would love to have you come and have space. And it's not like I blame them in any way. I mean, I think one of the things I tell people who come to the con for the first time is focus on the fans and the interaction you want to have. Don't come spend $500,000 or $1 million, and then it just becomes this big item on your budget, right? Just come and interact. Come and do something that will delight the fans. And, we'll help you do it as inexpensively as possible. And we're not charging those guys big fees. We just want the content there for the fans, and we want the fans there for the content. And we're sort of the catalyst to bring those two things together and to provide the opportunity for them to get together and mix and mingle. So, but yeah, I think having a hometown con, the hometown companies should use the hometown con. That's what I think.
Yeah. Oh, I'm pretty sure that I really feel like that's a very obtainable dream, possibility that LA Comicon's going with the way it's going up. I mean, I won't be surprised. It'll be soon.
Well, yeah, I think it's a big step for us this year to expand to the whole convention center, because really, setting COVID restrictions aside for a little bit, because I expect that will be for this year, but by 2022 or 2023, that we have room to have 200 to 250,000 fans coming through over the course of a weekend, using the whole facilities, spilling over into LA Live, using those facilities. LA is an amazing city, and that whole downtown area between the entire convention center and LA Live right next to it, it's one of the premier entertainment destinations in the world. And we want to be a celebration that all of LA can be part of. And LA can just kind of get their nerd on for 3 days or 4 days every year and come and enjoy.
Do y'all consider, is LA Comicon still kind of considered to be like a local event, or is this more like, is it starting to kind of grow to be like people coming from out of the States, from like, East Coast?
It's a great question. I think size-wise, we're probably one of the 5 or 6 largest shows in the country at this point. And our goal has always been, because I don't think cons compete with each other. I think they're very local to where they are. And really, I think New York and San Diego are probably the only 2 cons in the country that a meaningful number of people travel to go see them. All the rest of them, more than 90% of your attendees come from within 75 miles. So My goal has always been that when people anywhere in America think about Comic-Cons, they think, oh yeah, there's San Diego, New York, and LA, and then there's a bunch of other ones too. And so, I would just love us to be in that top 3 consideration set, and we work real hard to put a con together that will eventually get us there.
Great. Well, hey, Chris, thank you so much for stopping by on this. This is awesome information that you gave me. It's really cool geeking out with you a little bit too here. But just to let folks know, though, too, starting today, this is June 11th when we did this episode. Currently, if you're able to go to Comicon LA's website, ComicConLA.com. website and register for tickets. They're doing an early bird package right now that's 20% off for limited time. So definitely check their stuff out. Join this event. This event is fun. You will not be disappointed. It is a really cool experience that I think people need to try at least once. So
hey, can I just say a shout out for you, Davies? I just want to thank you for doing what you do. We nerds have not been able to get together in person for quite a while now. And it's people like you doing what you do that have helped hold our community together and really give us a way to share what we love. And so I just want to thank you for being there for us and providing a way for us to nerd out together.
Oh, thank you. I really do appreciate it. It's actually kind of funny when I think about it, because like I was telling my friends, it's like how you have to adjust during the times. I was like, I was starving for conventions like we usually do, because we go all over the place throughout the US. And I was like, let's do a podcast so we can talk to folks, talk to the people that we would talk to at conventions and see how this is going to go. And people are liking it. So, but it's cool. But cool guests like you is always welcome to come in and talk and promote whatever.
Well, thank you, my friend. It was a pleasure to be here.
All right. Hey guys. Well, thank you for listening to Pop Culture Gems. We will be back at another time. But as always, if you like what you hear, definitely give us a thumbs up, a like, a comment, what have you on our YouTube channel, the CFG channel, or listen to this episode on any podcast services out there. So once again, this is Davis signing off. Y'all have a great day.